today I'm sitting with Jordan from NZ Audio Editors. The reason I want to talk to Jordan today is because I know that a lot of people are interested in getting started in making podcasts and they are unsure on how to get started. So there's a form of procrastination there. So hopefully we can talk to Jordan and he can pull that smoke screen aside and let you see how to get started, and then maybe you'll take the next steps and actually do so. So
Awesome.
Jordan, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here. We've done a bit of work together so far, and it's been fun. Let's try not to blow it all out of the water on this Spinach TV episode. Let's try and continue doing business after this.
Yes, well, as Jordan says, he helps me with our video and audio stuff. And so Jordan, the first question I wanted is, when people are thinking of starting a podcast, how do they get started? What do they need to do first?
My advice from an audio perspective would be start by investing in a microphone. Lots of people don't do this. And the result is they end up with a poor quality product and they don't really realize it because they're just getting started. So you don't have to spend much. Look for reviews on microphones around $200, ones that plug straight into your computer, and get yourself up and running. My biggest piece of advice would be make sure you've got a long-term plan in terms of content. Lots of people get started and they run out of content. They don't know what to talk about. They kind of go, I've done 7 episodes on this dream idea I had, and now I'm not too sure how to kind of keep it going. Or, if you've got guests, great way to avert get away from running out of content, because the guests always talk about things. If it's current events, it's even better because you just read the newspaper, read your local sports write-up, whatever it is, and you can kind of talk to those. But think about long-term versions of content. Get a good microphone, and don't worry too much about listeners, especially at the beginning. So lots of people, they go, oh man, I'm only getting 30 listens. Just forget about it. Play the long game. Don't get impatient. Sometimes those numbers are a little bit skewed. But yeah, those are probably my, top 3 things I can think of.
So with podcasting, what have you seen people do well?
Produce content consistently. A little bit like social media. You're a social media star, Jemma. Absolute demon. Every time I'm on LinkedIn, you're the first thing on my list.
Sorry for that.
So it's the same with podcasts and marketing content. If you release regularly and consistently, so same day, same time, every week, then the algorithms reward you. They put you in front of more people, and you get better results out of that. If you're inconsistent, you don't. That's quite simply how it goes. But same deal with social media. If you're not consistent, people get started too soon. Sometimes, yes, getting going is the best way to go. Just start, get on with it. But they might start releasing the content a bit soon, and then they run out, or they fizzle out, or the content gets weak, or it doesn't do their brand any justice, or whatever the angle is with wanting to have a podcast. Sometimes people just get going too early. So release content consistently would be something people do really well. Getting started and getting it out to people too soon is probably something that they don't do so well. So yeah, kind of tying in. Yeah. Hey, you gotta get going to get going. So it actually ties into some advice for getting started would be just get started. But then you can also, the good thing about podcasts, you can record them all, and then you can listen and go, oh, that was awful, I'm not going to release that one. Or it's not live, you can get away with it. This video, this audio, I can edit it. So if you say something outrageous, because I definitely won't say anything outrageous, if you say something outrageous, I can just cut it out. Whereas if it's a live audience or TV or something like that, you can't get away with it. So
that actually, I want to highlight what you've just said, because a lot of people's fear about producing content and sticking it out in the world is, how am I going to look? What are people going to think? And you actually do get that interim phase of being able to review it, being able to pull out that awkward pause or the silly thing that you said and actually put out something that you're really proud of and that you feel represents you. rather as opposed to doing those live pieces of content that when you Will Smithed it, can't take it back.
See, current events are good for podcasts, and
topical.
Will Smith is currently a current event. So well played. But yeah, you can't cut Will Smith out of that moment. So yes, you're right, and it's a barrier for lots of people. They think, oh man, this is it. This is whatever it is this is it, and that isn't the case. Like you say, I don't know about you, but I'm sure it's given you some confidence to be able to make mistakes and maybe get things wrong and know that it isn't the end result. It isn't the end product that everybody sees.
Yes. And there's the variable when you're talking to people as well, and you're recording an interview or a conversation. There's the variable of you don't know what the other person's going to bring. But also when you're in the middle of the conversation and you're hearing that they're nervous or there's loads of pauses, you can polish that up and put them out in their best light as well. So you're putting something out that both parties feel really good about.
So true. Yeah, I agree with that. And the whole getting guests, if you're a guest style podcast or vlog or whatever it is, then getting guests who are confident in front of the camera. Lots of people don't do this sort of stuff very often, and they clam up, and they don't say what they want to say, and you can make them look slightly better, even if it wasn't, their perfect version of themselves or quite how they wanted to present themselves. So again, live TV, that sort of thing, you can't get away with it. Also, the good thing about podcasts is you don't have to put a fancy shirt on like I've done. It's all audio, right? So you use yours as video and audio content, but lots of people will just have a podcast. In theory, a podcast is just an audio version of a conversation or whatever it might be. You don't have to worry about if you've got a face for radio, let's just say, then you don't have to worry about trying to putting your makeup on for a face for television. If that makes any sense. I didn't have time to do my makeup. I only had time to do my shirt and my hair. You put me under the pump. It's all good. I thought I'd acknowledge that. Put me under the pump, but that's fine.
I did do that.
Yeah. Right. Next question. I don't know if I answered the last one, but
you did. No, you did answer the last one, and you answered the next one, which was what have you seen people do poorly? So, and that's probably something myself I had ambitions of, and I actually did have a few things lined up. Your recommendation was not putting out content too early and getting a little bit of a library. And you did have a word with me about that at the start. And I said, yes, don't worry about me. And then life happened. And then I had to take 2-week pause. And actually the library that you recommended that I have would have been really useful because the content could still consistently come out. Whereas I got started, it was great content. I was super excited. I hit go and then I ran out of content. And then there was that pause. And social media doesn't wait. It forgets about you.
I know. Yeah.
And it moves on. So then you have to build that momentum back up again. So the next question was, what have you seen people do poorly?
Which is that if you can get 6 to 10 episodes ahead, then life does happen and you end up with these scenarios where you're fine. You can take 6 weeks off. If you're releasing every week, every 2 weeks, you've now bought yourself, 5 to 10 weeks of content if something does happen, or you can't get a guest that, or, whatever, Christmas happens or whatever it might be. So then you fall in line with, okay, I'm releasing regularly still. I'm still releasing on a Tuesday at midday or whatever it might be, and I'm not running out of content. So, the library that you decided to, you know what? I noticed, but that's all right. I'll forgive you this one time. I would say, do that for your own peace of mind. I know it's really tempting to just get underway. And if it's a very authentic kind of record in the moment, this is how I feel kind of a podcast, then maybe that doesn't matter. You just bang, 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 the consistency, all that. There are scenarios where it doesn't matter as much, but from what I've found, the most successful ones are the most consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for people who are struggling to get started?
It depends what they're struggling on. So for a lot of people, it's confidence. For a lot of people, it's I don't actually know how to, one, record this, and then two, how do I get it to the world? I listen to these podcasts on Spotify. How do I actually do that? you can talk to someone like me. I'm happy to give advice on all of those sort of things. I think 90% of what you and I do together is just advice, and I love that. I love that side of it. So yes, you can go and look on the internet. Yes, you can Google search everything you want, or you can just contact someone who's in the industry, and I'm sure anyone like me will be happy to help. The confidence thing is probably just have a few runs at it, have a few goes, know that it's not live, and just, make those mistakes and get comfortable in front of a microphone. These things are quite obnoxious. Some people get really weird about, as soon as you put a microphone in front of them, they, particularly guests, they feel almost this stress and tension just from having a normal conversation, but knowing that it's very obviously being recorded. So just practice that stuff. And then people go right down to like working on their actual voice, having a voice coach. I work with a voice coach who does a podcast as well, and it's kind of this really fine tuning the end result is working on your actual voice, or maybe, you don't have a curtain behind you with natural light. This is like there's a whole lot of do not do this in terms of videos going on behind me. But that's okay. Just it's all right.
You stay in your lane.
Yeah, stay in your lane. Or you tell me to stay in my lane? Because
well, you do audio, I don't do visual. So
it's true. I need I do edit videos, but for this case, I should have a green screen or something. I've been thinking about it. I need to get on with that, get that sorted. But those sort of things, they come together eventually. But just get confident in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, saying the things you want to say, and then get outside help if you're not sure how to actually do that. And the same with production and distribution. Just ask, get advice. It's actually not hard at all. Most people use Anchor. It's free. Jemma, you use Anchor, I think, don't you?
Yeah.
And it works perfectly fine. It'll get your podcast on Apple, on Spotify, on about 10 other platforms, and then it's available. So it's a matter of, you can speak to how simple it is. You click upload and kind of be done with it. People worry about intros and outros and those sort of things, but yes, you can do that. I know you don't at the moment. I might talk you into having one at some point, but some people just go off the cuff with the intro. Some people like having a structured one so people know what they're listening to. But it's all things that can be thought about in the kind of initial phases. What do we want this product to portray to others? What's our professional? Are we professional? Are we not? Are we not trying to be professional? Are we just trying to be two mates having a conversation, or whatever it might be? So you got to kind of brainstorm all those things at the beginning, have a real good think about it. And as you build up content before you release it, all those things might start to align, or you just release the content and then you run out of content when you got a 2-week holiday because you're too busy at work. I don't know anyone who does that. I don't know anyone who does that though.
And to build on what you were just saying, that's what you've done for me really. Was I had an idea, but I didn't know what to do about it, and I didn't know how to get it right. And having an advisor like you talk me through the gear and what, we did one first and we listened to it, and you gave me feedback on how to do it better next time, and all of those things really took the stage fright away from starting a podcast for me. Because, and that's what I think I want to say to the people that are listening to this. If you've got this far, you've obviously got an idea that you want to get out there. So what's special about what you're saying is there, and then partnering with somebody like Jordan who will polish it up and make it ready for the world to hear. Having someone like that actually just takes the training wheels off for you so that you can just sit down, create your content, and then you're confident that you've got the equipment that you need. It sounds the way it's supposed to. It's going to go where it needs to go so that the people you want to hear it can find it. And those sorts of things help get that procrastination out of it. Once you know that stuff and you've got those things all lined up, there's no reason not to get started now.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a very rewarding job in that sense, because you create excitement through solving problems. And it's quite cool being, and look, people just don't know what they don't know, and they can spend all day of the week looking up how to do certain things and get 10 different answers. But sometimes people, like yourself, you don't have time to do all of that. So it's easy to just contact someone and ask. And lots of people have for me, they're fairly simple questions, but that's because this is what I do all the time. And so it's really easy for me to help like you and others with just, all right, should I put this here or put it over there, or do I need a microphone or do I not? It's and there are tons of those questions, and each one of those questions kind of results in a little bit of anxiety to get started. Like if I don't know the answer to that, then does that mean that, is it a barrier to get up and running when really it shouldn't be? So, yeah, that's what I'd say about that. Makes sense?
Nicely said. It does make your advice always makes sense. I'm holding a...
Yeah, what are you holding? Is it a
Nerf gun bullet?
It's a Nerf gun bullet. Did someone shoot it through the window or something?
No, they're everywhere. There's another one over here. They're everywhere. Okay, so what sorts of people are going to use your services?
So the main people that I help at the moment are people who want to have a podcast and they want to get it out to the world. They want to use the podcast for social media content, which means doing a video format like what we're doing here, and then having it all scrubbed up and put on for social, sound bites, those sort of things. People also make YouTube channels out of this kind of content, and then it's just another avenue to drive people into your business. So a lot of business people I help. Facilitating webinars is something I've been doing a lot of recently because of COVID. People can't have live events. So, and people don't know how to run the tech. They get really scared, kind of like starting a podcast. They get anxiety about starting a professional webinar. And it just means they can focus on the content. They don't have to worry about the tech stuff. Something goes wrong, I just fix it in the background, hopefully, 95% of the time. And audiobooks, so that's the other thing. It's a huge industry at the moment. There's a lot more revenue in audiobooks than there is paperback. The royalties are a lot higher. So if you sell an audiobook, you get far higher percentage of the actual money than what you would if it was a paperback, and paperbacks are far more expensive to create. So anyone who is looking to has written a book. Have you written a book, Jemma?
I have written a book. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, okay, good. Nice.
Well,
I didn't know that.
It's in first draft.
Oh, that's good. Good for you. And lots of people are writing books now. Seriously, it's lots of business professionals are doing that, and it's great. Sharing their content in a different format, and putting it in audio means that you can listen to it while you're driving to work. You can listen to a chapter. You can listen to it while you're doing the dishes. Whereas if you're having to actually read the paper, then you can't do anything else. So it's a more practical way of absorbing the information. So those are probably the three ways: webinars, audiobooks, and podcasts. I do a little bit of video editing stuff as well, but yeah, pretty much those three. I can help get you from A to Z. Yeah, something like that.
And how do people find you?
LinkedIn is probably the best way. nzaudioeditors.com as well. You can find me on there. And there's a bit of content that we produce on there as well. So if you want to have a look, check it out. Contact me directly if you like, through any of those sources. I like phone calls. I like talking to people in real life. We do a bit too much email and texting and communicating through typing these days, I think. And I like the good old phone call. It's get to know someone a bit better. So feel free to ring me. I'm not that scary. I just seem scary.
Well, I'll leave some contact information for Jordan, because I really think if you're looking to start a podcast, he's someone that you want on your team. And Jordan, thank you for rushing your shirt on today and making time to talk to me at short notice.
No worries. Thank you for having me.